He hits Rikishi in the head. Rikishi blades. We get color on UPN, and it's like a serious blade job. And then I'm like, all right, surely now it's over. And Rikishi does a splash off the top of the stage onto the cement floor. How many number one contenders are there? None right now, actually. Welcome to Tales from the Attitude Era. As always, this is Rob Pasbani from thesunner.com, joined by my good friend and former writer for WWE in this era that we are discussing, Tommy Blacha. Tommy, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I love the number one contender trope. Sometimes it just goes away for months. Sometimes it's very important. It's just a good way to get, like I said, the philosophy of always, if you're not in a feud or you're not Gaga, you have to be going for a title. And sometimes when there's too many, how do we put importance on this side, Matt? Number one contendership,
It's always funny to me when the number one contendership is treated like a title in and of itself. Like there's a world title match and then there's a separate match to determine the number one contender, it's a crown. We are on the road to King of the Ring. Things are hot. It's the summer season. Television is in repeats, basically. It's June 8th, 2000. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that probably slows down the pacing of the storylines as well. Less competition, especially on broadcast television for SmackDown. So SmackDown, it's the June 8th SmackDown at the
It isn't it.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me cut you off there. It is and it isn't, because it's always like this. It's funny to mention all these things because they don't exist really anymore. But it is a big sweeps week, June, repeats. And while there is what you said is not untrue, but when you're just producing it, it doesn't matter because you're still just trying to pull it off. Because even when sweeps week would roll around, and I'm sure it's at least for wrestling, not in a lot of other TV where they could networks would give you more budget and do something special or whatever. But for wrestling it was it's sweeps week. It's do something outrageous. Like what? Like we always, you know what I mean? There was no ramping up, really. It was always things, there was ebb and flow of blowing up ambulances or whatever, but there was no added pressure because this juggernaut of the Attitude Era was just just keep pulling it off. I just always, the analogy is it's just like a plane that's flying, just keep flying it. There's no now we can take the foot off the gas because it's we're in repeats. Not really. You'd always look at the ratings and be sometimes that would affect that. Or if there was a lot of things going on of football and this, that, and the other, you just kind of realize that's why there was a ratings dip. But it was just full steam ahead. So that didn't really ever come into it. So
I was just going to ask if UPN would show up and be at the end of April, be it's sweeps month next month. What do you got planned? You got some big angles?
Well, the brilliance of this era was if you were on USA Network or went to UPN or went to whatever TNN, you didn't even know. It had no difference because the WWE had its own structure, its own studio. A couple times Barry Diller came out and he just was people didn't even know who's that old guy that has carte blanche, so here comes a fight, stay out of the way. He just would be with his assistant, this is amazing. There was just, they didn't really, it was such an animal that they looked at this is a live broadcast from arenas. There was no interaction like that. Occasionally there would be a lot of things. It was more us doing favors for them. We're going to promo these two guys for their show. If you remember, sometimes you'd see something who are these two detectives from some USA Network show that never, happened, doing a little side interstitial or some kind of promo like that. It never was. There was never any kind of pressure from a network because they just were these ratings are huge. And in fact, we talked about before, Vince was always I think I'm going to go leveraging, I might go over here when the contract's up. So there was a lot of just this thing's amazing. Look at these numbers. It's a cash cow. Leave it alone. Especially when you had, and maybe they came by and they would do that, but never with what are they going to say in a meeting with Vince McMahon? We wanted the pressure for you to do something bigger or more outrageous. So that was the refreshing thing that I found, and then end up working for TV. All these kind of politics didn't exist in this era whatsoever. Period.
Okay, well that's good. That's good for you as a writer. I feel like gives you
Yeah.
more leeway.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It just gets in the way, and that happens. I can't imagine how many people who've worked in the industry are like. Usually, that kind of like sweep pressure and stuff is just like it just gets in the way often. Unless, like I said, sometimes like on different shows, it'd be like if it's a strip show or a talk show, it'd be like, well, here's some more budget to get, and we're gonna entice to get some more guests, or we'll help you get more guests or bigger guests or something like that. That makes sense. But often, like for sitcoms or different shows like that, it just got in the way. It's just like, oh, now someone's barking. Well, it's sweeps week. All right. What are you going to do for us, or whatever. But yeah.
That does make sense that you would need more money to do something grander. I never considered that aspect of it of like, okay, well, like, how are we going to afford it? Like everything's accounted for money wise, basically.
Right.
Regardless.
But
yeah,
just so much didn't apply to wrestling. It's like, what are we going to do? Double wrestling was just like, we're doing a fatal
another handicap match.
Yeah, you're not going to like light a fire under wrestling's ass to be more outrageous and huge. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You're never going to be like, oh, Vince McMahon needs to be more engaged with an insane product. Someone should light a fire under his ass. Like, what? It just doesn't even. It's laughable.
No, that makes me wonder. Was Vince not there for the SmackDown? Because he did not appear on camera. Do you remember at all if he was around?
I think he wasn't, if I remember correctly, and which was always amazing because he only missed like 2 TVs when I was there. Like his like worth ethic was like hilarious, and like in fact one that he missed, and it was also like you got to remember there was so much weird stuff going on. Like when you'd go to the Titan Towers, it's like, we're buying a casino, we're doing this. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of ancillary things going on with so all his ancillary meetings and his world is like so
there's
huge.
The XFL coming. There's a lot of stuff going on right now.
Yeah, there's just so much going on. So it's kind of ridiculous when it's like, oh, he missed his first TV in 3 years, and then let alone that, like, oh, there's so much going on. I've got to schedule my insane workouts at midnight with a train, and like, it was like remarkable. You'd be like, come on, like,
yeah. Well, this was an interesting episode. It definitely had like a house show kind of feel to some of the matches, but it was fun. I feel like the SmackDowns are always fun, and we kick things off. We're at the HSBC Arena in Buffalo, and we kick things off with a King of the Ring qualifying match between Chris Jericho and Test. And Jericho with a very quick promo. Tonight I face Test in the opening round of the King of the Ring tournament. And even if I don't become King of the Ring, you are the Jerkle of the squared circle. Not the best Jericho line, but it's fine. The story of the finish is Jericho went for a lion salt. Trish was there and stopped him and hit him with her boot. She kept trying to interfere, and then finally Jericho shoved Test into Trish, who was standing on the apron, knocking her down, knocking Test down in position for a lion salt. And Jericho wins the match and advances in the King of the Ring tournament. So everything is about this King of the Ring tournament. You're really putting it over hard these last few weeks, even having those little sports recaps later on in the show. After that, you see The Rock coming into the arena. He's entering the arena. He's very serious. Former headbanger Mosh Chaz is there out of headbanger gear saying hello to The Rock, and The Rock just ignores him. So he's just focused. Or maybe he just doesn't like Chaz.
Yeah, this was always a bummer because Chaz kind of was always around and very well respected as a worker. And, the headbangers, through injury, like that kind of dissolved. So it was just another one of those things of like, here's the roster. What do we do with him? he's well respected. There's so much going on. The Undertaker's back, this, that, and the other. So this was potentially the starting of a storyline of like, oh, he's disgruntled, which is always a good thing to be like someone like, oh, start ignoring him. He's disgruntled. You know, it's always the same thing of like, till finally someone erupts and is like, makes a name for themselves by, being like, oh, I'm not looked at and respected. So this was kind of like something I was like pitching too. And then when it doesn't go anywhere, when it doesn't like, in the next couple of weeks, that was a frustrating thing of working of like, yeah, we're not going to do anything with that. So then he's more like, oh, that was weird. And then he just looks like, in your words, herbed out. But it was supposed to be herbed out for a reason, to build to something of someone being, I'm so herbed out that I'm finally, unhinged.
I'm tired of being a herb.
Yeah. So, and if it doesn't have that consistency and, it's like, oh, did him even more of a disservice. So, it's just one of those, a lot of things like that happen, just be the pace of like, what are we going to do with Austin and Kane and The Rock, and here's a bunch of ideas. And then it ends up being this thing where they all work that whole main event out and it's always going to be great, because of them. And so there you have it. So kind of bummed me out seeing that. Sorry.
I forgive you. But does Chaz forgive you? We'll have to get him on the show to find out.
I hope so.
Also, yeah,
but he was. That's the thing that sucked, is he was well respected, and it never was like, that we're not going to do anything with him. It was like, with all the things going on, and like, agents always put him over and like, hey, he's well worked as a worker, tough, this, that, the other, and like, we got to find something for him. And then you do him a disservice by being like, well, throw him a little thing and this will build into something. Oh, it didn't build into that. Oh, he's even more weirdly ignored. And like, now what do we do? And it just becomes like this, and you talk to him and he has ideas too. And you're like, well, I bring it up to Vince, but it's like on a back burner. And that's the, frustration of the business, like a roster of 30 to 40 people. And how do you get them all over when, the time just doesn't meter out, it's kind of like, and you're on the Tonight Show. Oh, and, we ran out of time, like a comic waiting. Oh, I never got on. Shit. It just sucks.
And like you do try some other things with him. You try to pair him with D'Lo, who's another guy also struggling in a very similar way of trying to get some meaty stories. So right. You do try as writers, and I'm sure it's just some people fall by the wayside as the machine keeps rolling.
Right.
And then some people get back on. Like I feel like Val Venis for a while was kind of suffering and like not really doing anything, kind of in a purgatory, and then you just put him with Trish, and especially on this episode, you heated him up pretty hot. So you could recover from it.
Yeah, always. Well, there's so many examples of people sticking around and then boom, look at, Steve Austin, look at The Rock. He's Rocky Maivia. Oh, he's got a big push. Ooh, that's not, people are like, oh, whatever. And then this, that, and other, something, catches fire and catches traction. So, yeah.
During the break, we get one of these WWE commercials, which only seem to air during SmackDown. These like marketing materials. It's a woman winning a beauty pageant, and then another woman attacks her, and the judge is like, "What's gotten into them? WWF Entertainment. It ain't pretty." These are like lost Super Bowl ads or something like that.
Yeah, this one wasn't so bad, was it?
Yeah,
kind of fun. What's funny about those is there was always, since WWE at the time was like in this weird, which made it exciting for me, I thought this weird world where like it was looked down upon still from like Mushnick and the writers from the New York Post and even the corporate overlords, and like, oh, what is this? So there was, and we talked about like, the parent teacher council and like, oh, it's teaching kids bad stuff and this and that, and what is it, adult entertainment, but kids love it, and what do you do? And so anything that would come out like a commercial or something, and there was always this thing of like, bring up stories of like, oh, a kid broke his brother's neck doing a wrestling move, and like, okay, that happens, when you have these like huge numbers. And I would always like bring up like, yeah, when Superman in the 60s, like how many kids like put like blankets on like capes and jumped off garages and broke their legs, like you're like, shit happens.
Yeah.
What do you do? But now you look at, so they're always careful about like, oh, don't put a wrestling move too much in a commercial. But now that it's a corporate darling or whatever, some of their latest commercials, I saw one like in a supermarket where everyone's just pulling these dangerous moves on each other who are like wrestling fanatics. Like, oh, the guy stocking the produce attacks someone. And I just thought like, oh, in our day, you'd never do that because it would just give such, fuel for the other side to be like, oh, they're showing these dangerous wrestling moves that kids, love, and they're going to hurt each other. And it's just like, it's funny to see like once it became not an outlaw, or, you know what I mean? Once it becomes like sanctioned by everything's fine. If that makes sense.
It's funny you should mention that because the PTC back in the news, honorary chairman Steve Allen, I was going to read this a little later, but since you mentioned it, Steve Allen, who I believe appeared at WrestleMania 6 or 5. I believe he appeared at one of the WrestleManias. Funny enough, he's on the advisory board, and they spoke at a shareholders meeting for MCI WorldCom, which was a very big phone company at the time.
Yeah, huge, like the biggest, I think.
One of the biggest. Yeah, I think they merged into AT&T.
You're right.
Eventually, so there was a big meeting in Clinton, Missouri, in elegant Clinton, Missouri, and they demanded the company pull advertising off SmackDown. PTC has pressured MC. This is from The Observer. PTC has pressured MCI to pull out of the show for months, but the company's response is that it denies it bears any responsibility for the content of the programs it sponsored. Allen spoke of 4 children who had killed other children by mimicking pro wrestling moves. Luckily, they only know about the 4 because there's several more than that, Meltzer quips. And he gave MCI 1 week to pull out of the show or threaten them with a nationwide educational campaign to inform Americans that MCI WorldCom shares the offensive values of the WWF. The PTC claims that more than 35 companies, listing major companies like Wendy's, Ford, GE, Coca-Cola, AT&T, M&M, Mars, Clorox, and then a ton more, that like we're pulling their advertising. And
Clorox,
not Clorox.
We'll not have these bad influence on kids using our bleach.
Yeah, or Delta. Yeah, you can't like what is Delta? Southwest Airlines, Allstate. Some of these are crazy. But yeah, so they're still on it. Obviously, and they have an effect coming soon. We'll see a direct effect on the show.
Steve Allen, of course, the old TV talk show host, then became a pretentious sort of senile asshole in his later years. Kind of a heroic comedy figure and a very innovative guy who then became like this. This is the hill you're going to die on, And also, like I said, it's. Once you get into those kind of numbers, like, it's a weird thing, like I would bring up Superman,
that's a great comparison, actually. I think that's very accurate. Yeah. And it was WrestleMania 6. He appeared with the Bolsheviks. After the break, DX come out. It's the McMahon-Helmsley regime minus Vince McMahon. Everyone's there. Shane, Pat Patterson, Gerald Briscoe, Stephanie, Triple H, Road Dogg, X-Pac, no Vince.
Are you getting emotionally worked up over this, or you got a little indigestion?
Just a little bit of both.
DX. Remember, just back that they were all together and just
everything went right. Tori was there too. Yes,
Tori was there too.
Tori.
Oh my God!
Come on now. Triple H celebrates how there were 3 number 1 contenders before Monday, and now there are none. And that he beat The Rock in the middle of the ring. Personally thanks each member of DX. As soon as he gets to Stephanie, the crowd wakes up with a huge slut chant. They do a big group hug, and Triple H quips, "Pat, get in here. Give me some love, Pat."
Pretty good.
As soon as they finish hugging, The Rock's music hits.
I wonder in that moment, I just love how many smart marks throughout the arena that were wising up their friends that brought like, why is he saying that? Oh, he's gay. He's gay. What? No. Yeah. Like probably like 300 micro conversations were happening all at that moment. All across America too.
Yeah. I was absolutely smarting my friends up.
Were you watching it in this moment live saying that?
No, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, my friends would have already known. I would have told them he was gay weeks ago.
Yeah. I don't hang around with the wrestling fans who didn't know that. You should have been out there educating.
Rock says Rock doesn't want to break up your party. Instead, he's throwing his own party in Buffalo. But he's only serving one thing: payback. Ooh. It's not about The Rock taking the title from you. It's about The Rock giving you an ass kicking of a lifetime.
Do you think he should have said payback pie? No. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I would like that.
Slice of payback pie. Oh, well. Missed opportunity.
He already has the poontang pie, though. He doesn't want to confuse his friends. Well,
who says you can't have two alliterated pea pies? Mm-hmm. There's no rule.
It's true. Here's one of those lines like we talk about where only The Rock could deliver it. He says, it doesn't matter what kind of match it is. Rock versus Triple H in a no DQ match. Rock versus all of DX in a handicap match. Rock versus Stephanie in a stick 50 balloons up your ass match. Rock is getting payback tonight. That last line got such a big pop, but if you stop and you ask, like, what does that even mean? How do you stick balloons up your, like, they're just going to pop.
Well, I know exactly what you're saying. There is a list of people, though, that can deliver any line. I think it'll be good. The Rock's on it. I think Terry Funk could have worked it.
Yeah.
Anything Ric Terry Flair. Funk says. Yeah. Flair, Dusty, they could have all said it. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to be clear. It worked. I'm not saying it didn't work, but when you stop and you're like, what?
it's rarefied air of the guys that can say anything.
Yeah.
Although I would love to see Nikolai Volkov say that line. That would have worked for me.
Really put it to the test. And so Triple H says, you got a lot of anger inside of you, Rock, but it's misguided. You're looking in the wrong direction. Shows footage from Judgment Day of The Undertaker costing The Rock the championship. And then also again from this past Raw, where right before Triple H got the victory, we see that the move that led to the victory was Undertaker chokeslamming The Rock. And so Triple H is indicating that it's really Undertaker you have a problem with, not me. I like this dissension. Undertaker's music hits. And again, it's so crazy. Like, I feel like so silly for not realizing that, this has been edited now in post. Because you even see there's like a blurred lower third, which would be the album art for the Kid Rock American Badass single that they're not showing because they don't want to do it.
God, it just gets, sorry, but in lawyers, I mean, really?
Yeah.
What is the impact of doing this? I know it's like, well, you're not paying for it, but it happened. But I know. So I guess now forgive me, you'll know this. Mm-hmm. So we don't hear the Kid Rock version even on the reruns of the Raws?
Correct. It's because they only licensed the song for, let's say, 6 months.
No, I understand.
They never got a lifetime archival license.
Right. And I guess I understand that, but sometimes there's different, this is like such a side rabbit hole that who gives a but it's sort of interesting. Since Raw is live, mm-hmm. I guess since it's presented. Because we used to do this thing where it was kind of funny where, Eddie Guerrero would have like Lowrider playing, and mm-hmm. It was like, okay, when that wasn't licensed, but it was also like, well, if it's live and it's playing on the PA. On the PA, or no, actually in the car,
like in the
arena. He's driving.
Oh, I see.
And it kind of was like a loophole. We're like, well, it could be on the radio, but Vince was so ballsy. It was kind of like, I guess it's playing on the radio. So you know what I mean? The pace of it, it's a
Yeah.
live show, and we just like play it and like, oh, okay, so that song isn't licensed. But
I mean,
since
that's
it was,
essentially how ECW got away with it. The song was playing in the arena, not being fed
Yeah.
through the video feed, the audio feed.
so you technically like, I
It's
don't
a
know who was
different-
playing it.
Yeah. I'm guessing probably too, it's like it has to do with their partners. Like Peacock doesn't want any of that. Or I guess it's on Netflix now.
Well, it just gets so goddamn complicated because now it's like,
Yeah.
well, that used to be this company, and now that doesn't own this, or et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
But,
like with WCW and ECW footage, it's so butchered. Like Jericho comes out in WCW and he's coming out to his Break the Walls Down theme because they don't, the sound-alikes were never cleared that Jimmy Hart created for like in WCW. Basically, these songs were like his Jericho's entrance was essentially like a Pearl Jam song that like very clearly.
yeah, it's such a mess. You wish that there was some overall law or something that says, well, once it aired and then it's that in perpetuity because it did exist as that at that time. Like when are we going to get to the point where we're like, oh, sometimes it is like ridiculous, like blur that F in the WWF logo. And like,
I hate that. Well, at least they don't do that now. They do still mute saying WWF, but they don't blur the old logo.
yeah, that's just like preposterous.
Yeah. I'd
They
have
mute
to
it.
agree.
Someone's in some editor is somewhere like, oh, I gotta scan take out really, come on.
Well, at least it's creating jobs, right?
Is it? Hey, how did you buy that house? Well, I take the F out of the
So Undertaker circles the ring. He gets off his bike, stares at The Rock up on the stage. Then he decides, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to beat up DX. So he gets in the ring all on his own and fights DX by himself. The Rock is standing on the stage. He's in no rush to help The Undertaker. And finally, DX gets the best of The Undertaker. They're beating him down, and The Rock says, all right. We also see that Kane is watching this. Kane is in the arena. He's backstage, does not come out. Rock runs down and helps Undertaker. They clear the ring, and in the melee, Undertaker accidentally swings at The Rock. He was very clearly aiming for X-Pac, but he hits The Rock, teasing dissension. After the break, Rock barges into Kane's locker room, asking where is Undertaker. Kane doesn't respond. Rock asks again. Kane says, you won't need to wait for Taker if you want your ass kicked. And then they end up fighting. Oh my goodness. Everyone needs to just chill out.
Good.
Get along. There's a task at hand.
That's always a good device. The backstage, where is so-and-so?
Yeah.
Oh, they're around the corner. I think they're in catering. Hold on. Just wanted to do something. No, you just missed them. They were now they're over and they're by some anvil case over there. All right. No, they're in the men's restroom. Is this the men's? Oh, there's Mae Young coming out of the room. Have you seen so-and-so? No, they're it just gets ridiculous.
Yeah. No. And I always love that it ends up coming to blows for some reason.
Yeah. I know. Where's so-and-so? Well, they're arriving late in the limo.
How dare you?
Oh.
Then we have the tag titles on the line. Too Cool defending against the hottest new tag team, Godfather and Dean Malenko. And pretty fun match. Crowd is really into it. Scotty successfully completes a worm on Malenko. Afterwards, gets chucked to the outside by Godfather, and Scotty lands right in the path of a hoe mosh pit. And the ladies all hover around him. Godfather comes in to break it up. As he is distracted with his hose, Too Cool finish off Malenko with the leg drop and get the win. Easy peasy, getting the Too Cool fellas over. Backstage, DX book the main event. It's going to be Triple H, X-Pac, and Road Dogg versus Rock, Undertaker, and Kane. Very fun sounding match. Sounds like a big old match.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Chris Benoit versus Jeff Hardy for the IC title. Cole calls Chris Benoit the most fightingest champion of all time. I hate the word fightingest. I hate words with two suffixes on them. But
I don't go that far, but this
fightingest is very clunky.
Unless Dusty said it. The most fightingest champion. That would work.
Yeah.
But
Lawler asks
not with Cole. No. You're right.
More fighting than Pat Patterson? I wrote this as the work rate match of the night. They had a great match. This was old school wrestling. This was great. It was really, really fun. Clean finish. They're jockeying for position. And then I think Jeff Hardy went for like a clothesline. Benoit grabbed his arm and hit the crossface, locked it in, got the tap out. After the match, Benoit approaches Jeff Hardy for a handshake, showing respect. What? Heel showing respect. They shake hands, and then Benoit dastardly hits Jeff Hardy with the championship. Where is his sportsmanlike conduct? Where is his honor?
Just defining him more as a whole heel. Why not?
Then we get Edge, Christian, and Kurt Angle come out. And Kurt Angle says, what I'd like to talk to you about is sportsmanship. When you lose, the right thing to do is to offer a handshake or vow to do better. You do not put your Olympic hero through a table. Referencing the Dudleys putting Angle through a table after the Dudleys and Jericho lost their match on Raw this past Monday. Edge and Christian lost the tag titles when my friend Christian was hit with a hockey stick by a midget. That's poor sportsmanlike conduct. Christian takes the mic. He says, speaking of losers, I don't know why he says it like that. There's no bigger sore losers than the people of Buffalo. Your Super Bowl, your hockey team, O.J. Simpson, which got a unique pop from the crowd. Then their 5-second pose mocks Bills kicker Scott Norwood, who I'm guessing missed a big kick that week. And then we see that there are Bills in the crowd.
Well, also he's the classic story of the Buffalo Bills is he missed the Super Bowl kick at the end. If he would have made it, they would have won the Super Bowl. Since he missed it, and then the legacy of the Bills was they would go to the Super Bowl every year and lose, and they never won it. So they became this kind of grandiose losers that was even worse than just being shitty, because they'd never get to the mountaintop. And so that the pressure on that moment just built through the years, and it's like, oh, if only he would have won, maybe we could have started winning, but instead it created this big, horrible Buffalo Bills classic loser thing.
Actually, now that you say that, I remember watching some like I wasn't a football fan, but I would watch Super Bowls because my friends were into it. And, I'd root for the Bills just because of the proximity to New York.
Yeah. There's a weird indie movie called Buffalo 66 that's kind of all about that.
Oh.
But it's a very strange movie, if anyone wants to check that out.
All right. Good to know. Back to the action. So it's Edge and Christian versus the Dudleys. Very quick match. Very odd finish. Because Bubba at one point is on the outside and Edge is punching him. Then he turns around. Kurt Angle's there, who's not officially in the match. He's punching him. The ref is looking right at them. No DQ call for Kurt Angle interfering in the match. I think the ref was out of position because this actually set up the finish where Edge went to spear Bubba. Bubba jumped out of the way and Edge speared Angle. He laid waste to Edge. Jumped in the ring, and just as he jumped in the ring, they hit a 3D on Christian, 1, 2, 3, and they get out of there. Easy peasy.
Yeah, little clunky, but
they got where they needed to go ultimately.
And as a smart, clean finish, smart mark, it's kind of a clean finish for this match, even though there's like shenanigans. You did get a definitive 1, 2, 3.
You did get a clean pin,
which is kind of odd.
Yeah, I feel like it was tarnished by the ref not calling for the...
So there's a subset of clean pin smart marks as opposed to clean finish smart marks. There is a difference. Oh.
Well, it was a clean pin, although I guess I don't know who the legal man was, but I don't get caught up in the legal man thing. But I just feel like the ref not calling that DQ, it voids the rest of the match. It's like the match should be over.
So you think that there's a faction in the Clean Finish Smart Mark grouping of there's a faction that is splintering off that is just clean pin? Maybe I'm a clean pin Smart Mark, thinking like it doesn't have to be a clean finish, but here's a clean pin. There's always going to be shenanigans.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, well, I'm going to infiltrate the Clean Finish Smart Marks and start my own splinter group, and I'm going to recruit members from Clean Finish Smart Marks. Hey, if you're out there, gang, why don't you tell, are you a Clean Finish Smart Mark or a Clean Pin Smart Mark? What do you think of that?
This is important. Important distinctions.
Yeah.
So then we have Stephanie backstage, and we learn that there's going to be a battle royal to determine the number one contender for the women's championship, which she has yet to defend. And she says there will be a battle royal tonight, and she'll face the number one contender in the main event of SmackDown. And she's with Coachman, who's interviewing her, and she barges into the women's locker room and pulls Coachman and the camera guy in. And Kat is in a towel, like they're all like, I can't. They're wearing more in the locker room actually than we see when they're out in the arena.
I know.
Funny enough. But it's a fun segment because Coach then is like, oh, we shouldn't be in here. And he's like shoving the camera guy out who's like trying to get some shots. And then they this got a little clunky because the joke is that Stephanie was trying to lock Coachman in the locker room, but then he just got out like immediately.
Yeah.
And also there were 2 or 3 maybe women in the locker. It didn't come off as intended, I would say.
Clunky.
Backstage, Undertaker confronts Kane. I'm into this. He asked why Kane wasn't helping when DX attacked. Kane just responds, I was enjoying it. I like this mild refresh of Kane. He seems so much more badass since returning, which really just shows you take a few weeks off and like the stink wears off. Not that he even had he had a great angle with X-Pac. I guess he kind of looked like a Herb with Tori a little bit. But like it's almost forgotten about, I think now. Like he's just total badass.
Well, I think sometimes those gimmicks kind of can, except it worked for George the Animal Steel forever. But at a certain point where it's this like I'm misunderstood and weird, and a woman has his affections towards me. It's just got to run its course at a certain point, or you're just like it gets too gets too in the way, and you look too. After a certain point, those things, they have a shelf life, in my opinion. So it's like, just reset them as like you can be unhinged and weird and all that, it's monstrous, but like that kind of there was a little thing of like, oh, if he weren't like this, he would really be a badass. If it weren't for his like pining for someone, a woman, and how much can he be deceived? Like in your words. Yeah, he start to look like a Herb, and that's very dangerous. So it's like, okay, that's all behind us. That makes sense?
Herb is not mine. You could use it. You don't have to credit me with the word. Anytime you want to use Herb, you could have it.
No, I'm going to continue doing it the way you came up with it. That's the way I look at it.
I brought it back.
Yeah, bringing back Herb. Rob Pasbani, bringing Herb back.
Climbing up the charts of the insults, it's Herb at number 2.
Yeah.
Number 1, still dip 50 weeks in a row.
Stoked by Rob Pasbani. It's Herb with a bullet.
It's time for the Women's Battle Royal. Stephanie comes out with special guest referee Tori, who's looking phenomenal in her ref's outfit that's very form-fitting.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie sits in on commentary. This was a very sad look at the state of the women's division. The Battle Royal only had 5 women in it. 2 of the women wrestling in high heels. It's Terry, Ivory, Jackie, Lita, and the Cat.
Yeah.
And Trish is not included in this. I think it makes sense why Trish was not included, because like why have her job out for no reason, right? Like, and ultimately it doesn't really matter. You're just trying to get to the ending.
Well, yeah. I mean, I thought this should have gone to, this could have reinvigorated the women's division. Frankly, I thought the Cat should have, the real legitimate women in this should have laid waste to everyone, and they could have fought off in a big thing. They could have been like, oh gosh, these, they're pissed off and they're serious. Jackie.
Right, like Ivory and Jackie immediately beat up
Lita.
Terry and Cat. But also, I feel so much sympathy to Terry and the Cat because they're put in a position that they have no training. They weren't hired as wrestlers. They have very limited experience, and so they could only do very limited things.
Well, but here's the thing: is it's a time-honored thing. They've been around enough where you can guide them through selling some horrible. You know what I mean? You could throw them through table. You could do a lot of things where they're protected and they're just selling. You know what I mean? You could that as far as a storyline thing. That's what I thought it could have been like. Oh my goodness. They're out of it. You know what I mean? They're not seriously contenders because Ivory, Jackie, and Lita are kind of pissed because they're real competitors. It could have gone to a point like that, and it could have been built a thing where regardless of who won or whatever, it could have even schmozzed out. It could have been, Stephanie, you don't know what you've gotten yourself into because this isn't gaga bullshit anymore. Because those three are very capable. So that was my take that it should have gone.
That's fair. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Okay. I take it back.
And you can sell those things no matter how the match with the broadcasters, oh my God, this looks like they're angry at, the disrespect. And it's like, oh,
I feel like Ivory and Jackie have been very underutilized. They're great performers. And Jackie, especially, I feel, has been underutilized this year. Yeah. And, so like I mentioned, Cat and Terry wrestle in high heels, which I'm just come on, at least put on sneakers, or whatever. Terry eliminates Cat through the middle rope. And
one of their high heels should have been taken off and gouged into their forehead, and they should have gigged.
Yeah.
Right at the promoter's table, oh my God.
Yeah.
The women's division just took a turn for the serious.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. I guess they didn't really have time to do those side stories.
No, it's just now you know what it's like sometimes. Hey, how about this? All right, take it easy. Well, I thought it was a great idea. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah,
that's what it's like sometimes.
That feels, yeah. So Terry eliminates Cat. Lita eliminates Terry. So then it's down to Ivory, Jackie, and Lita, the three women with actual wrestling experience. And Lita even gets thrown over the top rope and skins the Cat. It looks great. She lifts herself up, and Lita's the star of the show here. This is also the first time Lita debuts what becomes her signature look of the baggy pants, the low-cut baggy pants with the thong poking out of it, sending a
whale tail now right behind Herb in the new reinvoked Rob Pasbani heated up list.
Well, I got to tell you, it definitely worked on a 16-year-old confused Rob Pasbani. I was very much rooting for Lita. I was very much rooting for Lita. She eliminates Jackie and controls Ivory and hits a moonsault and gets a pinfall. I don't think we were ever told that the final two people have a regular match, and she wins with a moonsault and a 1-2-3. Which fine, whatever. The smart mark excuses it because Lita won, so I'm excited. And then almost immediately after winning, Tori, who again was the special referee, clotheslines Lita from behind and attacks her, gives Lita Tori's finisher, which I can't really describe it. So she kind of sets Lita up for a power bomb, and then when Lita is up, on her shoulders, instead of throwing her down, Tori falls to her back, kind of chucking Lita over her head. It looks cool. So Lita gets very messed up here, and then Stephanie comes in the ring and she's like, "Oh, we won't have this at the main event. Let's do it right now. Ring the bell." The bell rings. She just goes over and covers Lita after Tori did all the work. What a heel! 1, 2, 3. Lita loses. Excellent heat. I would be very upset about this if I didn't know where this was going, and it goes somewhere so awesome. So I love what you're setting up here. And I, as a as a fan of the babyface, I should be very upset here. Lita got screwed. This is a very good piece of good angle, planting the seeds of what is to come of, I believe, the first women's main event in Raw history.
There you go. And, from what I said,
that already happened, actually. It when Stephanie won, it was the main event. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. Well, but it was kind of the same result of a little bit of like, it did reinvigorate it a little bit. It kind of just shined it more on Lita, but it didn't really pump up the women's division, so to speak. But it did, they did kind of peel off Kat and, in a way that's like, okay, they're not legitimate. Sort of. Yeah.
There's a definite separation of Kat and Terry and then the rest of like the actual wrestlers, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond anything, you did establish Lita as a force in this women's division, like someone that the company is getting behind. She's getting TV time every episode, and now she's being thrown into a main event angle, so if any, like you did do good work in that aspect.
And legitimately, a big part of the reason for her push is agents and people talking about her wrestling in-ring ability. You know what I mean? Because like everyone's pretty and all that stuff. So that was like, it was good to see like, that was really the main part of her push at this point.
Yeah, that's what always really impressed me is she had lucha experience. Like she could do high spots and stuff. It wasn't just the basic stuff. Then we have another King of the Ring qualifier, which I didn't realize was a qualifier. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to the commentary until later on when they did the recap. Matt Hardy versus Eddie Guerrero. Another great match. Great back and forth. I would argue like this and the Benoit Jeff Hardy match, neck and neck for a work rate match of the night, actually.
Sure.
Because I thought Matt Hardy and Eddie worked super well together. And since Matt has a little more weight on him, he was a great base for Eddie's jumping around. And the finish of the match was almost identical to the one that Eddie had with Kurt Angle a few weeks back, where Guerrero was on I believe the second rope, and he went for a Huracan Rana and he landed it. Like if you remember, Kurt Angle kind of dropped him on his head when he did it, but this one, Matt Hardy obviously has much more experience than Kurt Angle and knows how to base very well at this point in his career. So it looked perfect. It looked great. Absolutely excellent ending. Clean finish. No interference from China. Just a really fun match. And Eddie Guerrero advances.
You don't want to get that quote to get out there to get twisted where you would say Matt Hardy had a lot more experience than Kurt Angle and knew how to wrestle better. You don't want it to get out.
At this point.
Still, I'm just saying.
I didn't say I knew how to wrestle better. Did I say that?
I know, but I'm saying,
base better.
You know how things get twisted. Base, let's change it.
Matt Hardy wrestles better than Kurt Angle.
Oh, with AI, no, it's smooth. It's smooth. Yeah,
you're right.
Saying, yeah. Let's not get it twisted.
Oh, no, but this was a great match. All joking aside. I would love to see these guys. Or like Eddie Guerrero and somebody with a program against the Hardys. It's a shame we didn't get that. Backstage, we see Trish cutting a promo. She's humiliated from getting the stink face from Rikishi on Raw. How can anybody put this pretty face in their ass? She wants vengeance, and Val Venis says he's going to get it for her. And that the one thing they both agree on is there needs to be gold around his waist. That's the one thing they agree on. That was weird. Weird turn for like, we don't agree on anything, but I should be champion. That we agree on, right? Yeah, okay. So it's Val Venis versus Rikishi. Very stiff match. I think Hardcore Holly agented this match. No, because they were coming out there. This was a heavyweight match. And Venis gets in position for the stink face. Trish is not having it. She gets in the ring from behind Rikishi, turns him around. Powder in the eyes. Old school. What is she, Mr. Fuji? I popped big for this. And then Venis attacks Rikishi, and this ended up being so much cooler than I thought it'd be. I was like, all right, I guess that's it. Then Venis grabs the steel chairs. He hits Rikishi in the head. Rikishi blades. We get color on UPN, and it's like a serious blade job. And then I'm like, all right, surely now it's over. They go to a replay, show what's happened. No, after the replay, Rikishi's standing and him and Val go at it again. And they're brawling and brawling. They brawl to the top of the stage. And this is the point where the stages were like a good 10 feet off the ground, something like that. Like, let's say, I don't know, something like that, like a good few feet off the ground. It's a big leap. And at one point, Rikishi super kicks, savate kicks, whatever you want to call it, kicks Val Venis off the stage, and Val is in perfect position, and Rikishi's just standing there, and Rikishi does a splash off the top of the stage onto the cement floor, which
crazy.
You could tell was a little padded, but even with the padding, I cannot imagine a man nearly 400 pounds jumping like that, the full pressure of his momentum hitting the ground. Like, his knees must have been shattered after that. Like, I couldn't, like, I had to grab my own knees when I saw that. What a crazy spot.
Yeah. Well, those guys, when, how shall I put it? He's such an extraordinary athlete, like a lot of the Samoans and Polynesians, where they're like, how can you weigh that much? But then you look at their knees and their, you're 400 pounds and you got that kind of stature, but you're athletic, and like where a lot of guys that get roided out or get over muscled and like, oh, their knees and stuff go, because they're like, well, you're not physiologically meant to carry that kind of weight. Where you look at him, it's like, no, he's physiologically not only able to carry that kind of weight, he can run, and he's an athlete. So it's just like, holy smokes, what a dangerous, incredible athlete to be doing that stuff at that weight. It's remarkable. What can you say?
Absolutely. No, he is, I would argue, underrated at this, but like there's now, like at the time I was like, why is he hovering around the main event? I was a little bit of a smart mark, but now I'm like, no, give this guy a belt. Like, he's fucking great.
And he's been around legit. And he's the whole checklist, completely.
Yeah. No, excellent. Like he's really been impressing me in this run. We get a full sports-esque recap of the King of the Ring tournament. And, I should mention, this was such a serious angle that after the commercial break, you show Val Venis stretch it out. I love that. Yeah. Very old school. So then we get a recap of all the qualifiers so far. We learn it's a 32-person tournament, and there's a few more qualifiers on Heat. Devon takes on Perry Saturn on Heat, and Bubba versus the Big Boss Man. So the Dudleys end up working twice this SmackDown taping. A few people end up working twice, actually.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into it. Kevin Kelly asks Benoit why he did what he did to Jeff Hardy. Benoit simply says, because I wanted to. What a heel. It's the type of guy that might kill his family one day.
Oh.
I'm just saying. All right. It's time for the main event.
What a prophetic line.
DX comes out first. All three members come out together. The main event, Kane is first to come out for the face side, immediately gets attacked by all three heels. Then the Undertaker is next. He comes to help Kane. And then The Rock comes out, obviously, for a huge reaction. Settles into just a traditional 6-man tag match. And again, like, this is the house show vibe that I was talking about. This feels like a house show main event vibe. And I say that with love. I say that in a positive way. The crowd loved it. Kane gets the heat back, tags in Undertaker. He tags in The Rock, who gets some heat and then gets blindsided. So then he has to sell the heat himself. And then hot tag to Undertaker. And then bing, bang, boom, big melee, chokeslam to X-Pac. Taker wins the match for the faces, of course. And X-Pac or Road Dogg makes sense to take the pin. It's obviously not going to be the champion. And then we get a big schmaz ending. Everyone runs in the ring, the McMahon-Helmsley regime. Rock grabs a chair. He goes to clock Shane. Shane ducks, and The Rock accidentally clocks Kane. Then Triple H knocks The Rock down from behind. Undertaker punches Triple H out of the ring. Then The Rock gets up, picks up the chair, and intentionally hits Undertaker with it. There's no accident here. He really wanted to hit Undertaker. And then the show kind of ends with a replay and a stare down. And the storyline being that the 3 potential number 1 contenders are all at odds. This is pretty hot.
Just like going into it. I frankly, from like a booking standpoint, it's always like, and nothing has really advanced.
Nothing has changed. That seems to be the MO. Like the last few months for SmackDown, it's like, book a hot show, nothing has changed.
Yeah.
I guess you advanced Lita a little bit, but like what storylines really move forward here?
True. But at the same time, it is like elevated in terms of the heat, so to speak, between Rock, Kane, and Undertaker. It's like, it's not just like, oh, nothing advanced. I like that because sometimes it's all about like, sometimes it gets too much like its storylines are being advanced and what's happening and, T's crossed, I's dotted. But this was just all about like feeling. So you kind of be like, oh, now they're more angry, if that makes sense. So it was good. It was a good show, I thought, actually.
No, I thought so as well. It was a very fun show, easy to watch. And there were some fun matches. Like there was some really good wrestling on the show as well.
Yeah, and real surprise, like Val Venis and Rikishi. That was like, holy smokes!
Yeah, I did not expect that. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was good.
And so and then let's just to go over Heat really quickly. Eddie Guerrero started the show, defeating Crash Holly to retain the European title. Eddie Guerrero wrestled twice. Bubba Ray Dudley defeated the Big Boss Man to qualify for the King of the Ring tournament, thanks to some help from Bull Buchanan, who cost Boss Man the match and then attacked him after. So you're advancing that storyline. D'Lo Brown defeated Steve Blackman by disqualification after Al Snow returned with head. He's no longer the Zen Al Snow. He has head back. And I believe he also attacked the ref. Perry Saturn defeated Devon to qualify for the tournament. And in the main event, Chris Benoit defeated Chris Jericho, Hardcore Holly, and Val Venis to retain the title. The story of the finish was Jericho had Val Venis in a Walls of Jericho, and Benoit behind the ref's back hit Holly with a chair and went for the pin before Jericho could get Venis to submit.
Yeah, what a heat. My goodness.
Yeah, that's good heat.
Yeah, that's a
So that's Heat. And I have a few headlines from the Observer I wanted to talk about. Variety reported that Dwayne Johnson is in serious negotiations to star in 2 major films at a price of nearly $5 million per film. Story reported that Johnson was negotiating to star in an untitled big-budget sci-fi film for Joe Roth to be directed by Glenn Morgan and James Wong of The Final Destination, and also in negotiations to play the Scorpion King in a prequel to The Mummy 2, where he'll play the same role, even though he had a limited amount of screen time in Mummy 2. Universal Studios was so impressed with this performance that they want to build up the character for a starring role in a film produced by the same team as The Mummy. We know that ended up happening. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Vince and Linda are involved as producers in any movie starring Johnson at the time because they owned the license to the phrase The Rock.
Yep.
So very interesting. Are you getting kind of word that we're going to have to downplay The Rock, or like Rock might be going away, or that hasn't hit you?
No. That only happens when it happens, It's possible, but it's like the same thing always out there. Oh, this might happen. And also, like I always say, the machine's ready to turn on to what's today's word? Pivot at a moment's notice. You can always pivot. So it doesn't take long. And that's always the thing I try to impart, in this podcast is like, this machine was so brilliant at that like sometimes there was like, why wasn't there any long-term planning? Like, it's kind of not necessary. And just, you're in 2-3 cities a week doing this stuff. And then like, doesn't matter. That'll happen when it happens, It can just, it can happen. You can find out in the morning and be like, oh, okay, what's going to happen? Oh, let's have him get hurt by this. Oh, I don't know. What does he think about that? Okay, we'll do this. Remember the episode where Austin gets hit by a car? Austin can't wrestle. He's hit by a car. Huge storyline. Found out in the morning.
That day,
Yeah. Just so, nothing's ever, you never have that feeling of like gulp, and like I said, you always have a million things going on at any time. So that's doesn't even come up at all, other than like we'd have the same reaction like reading it in Variety. Oh, look at this. Oh, I guess maybe. Also, when you read Variety, when you go on meetings and you see all the old varieties or whatever from years past, and you look at them, like half the things never happened. When you look at those old none of this ever happened. So it's kind of like
fair enough. Well, Meltzer points out that $5 million is essentially what he makes in a year wrestling. So it's a great deal for The Rock. Much less physical abuse. For the same money, and I'm sure a shorter time frame as well.
Well, yeah, this just was the trampoline that started him on the way. What is he worth now? Probably $600-700 million, I imagine.
Oh, like a few bucks, probably. I would say.
Yeah, $7.
Yeah. Also, that NCAA heavyweight champion Brock Lesnar of Minnesota has not signed, but there have been verbal agreements to many points of the deal. He's expected to start his career at Ohio Valley. Do you remember getting a look at Brock at like one of the house shows or anything like that? Did you ever?
No. Yeah.
No interactions with Brock?
No.
Well, this made me think of like some of the other guys in the dark matches that never really kind of panned out to anything. And I wanted to ask you about those guys. Mainly like on every show, the first dark match features a tag team called the Dupes.
Yeah.
Who are these guys? Like, do you remember these guys?
I just remember like that they would be brought up like, often you'd be somewhere, there'd be some local workers, whatever. But I do remember like, it's always kind of like, oh, these guys are thought highly of through here. And Charlie Haas, I think, was like always talked about like, he's talked about highly. Actually, a long time before, when I first started working out there, I saw Kurt Angle in the dark match, and they'd be like, oh, we need to think of stuff for this guy. So that happened at that point, I remember, but before he had his first, like the 3 eyes in that one video promo that really made him like, oh my God, that completely works. You remember seeing him in like a dark match, was like, oh wow, well, he's great. But people kind of didn't really go nuts for him, even though it's like, it was kind of funny to see like, oh, okay, that was just a dark match. Huh. But, usually busy, but there's no, these guys were well thought of and, in development deals, and there was no NXT quite yet or anything like that. So you really didn't know too much other than talking to the agents or some saying, no, this guy's good.
So it's not even on your radar until Vince is like, we need a story for this. Like, or do you develop the character? Were you, helping develop characters or?
Well, what was interesting, it happens every which way, they might be like, we don't know what to do with this guy or any ideas. The fascinating thing I remember about Kurt Angle was when I first started working there, I saw him in a dark match, and they said like, okay, we need something, what do you know about this guy? He's, obviously who he is, but it wasn't like, okay, stop the meeting. Here's this huge coup because we got this gold medalist or whatever. It was kind of like, because often in wrestling it'd be like, there's a capable guy who's tough and incredible technical wrestler, whatever, but is he getting over? I don't know. Look at The Rock when Rock was Rocky Maivia, like he's got the pedigree, but like people kind of like, oh, whatever, he's that old Rocky Maivia sort of third generation and this, that didn't really get over. So you're always like kind of thinking like, I don't know. But I don't even know to this day. It's funny. Somehow Kurt and whoever got with people back at the studio. And when they made that first video that was shown before he was out, was like, oh, they want to position him as like this kind of arrogant, but sort of vapid, my 3 eyes. And they showed it to us. Like none of us made it or anything. And Vince was like, what do you think? And I was like, oh my God, to me, it's brilliant. I go, he's immediately over with that video, that first video of him like sitting there and like talking about the 3 eyes. I was like, oh, I've never saw anything like it. I think he can do it. He's so hateable, You know what I mean? And it also in the age of the tweeners, I'm like, he's perfect. He's like an 80s style baby face that is now a heel, and he doesn't understand why. So that was just a weird case of someone getting over in a strange way, because just 2 weeks prior, saw him in a dark match. It's like, well, yeah, he's great, but it's like, whatever, you could have argued that, oh, is he going to be like Bob Backlund, a great technical wrestler that no one can, really push around? But, what is he? Is he going to be that kind of like, straightforward milquetoast champion that is shoved down your throat, and is just, will that work? I don't know. And boom, that video just made him. So that was just a strange case. It was just like, there was a lightning rod right there. So, however they get over. And sometimes, I talk about like Chaz being like, oh no, his headbanger gimmick is gone and he's around and he's well respected. So what do we do? I don't know. It's kind of a disadvantage for him to have some notoriety yet, and not, Bull Buchanan and just like hanging around waiting for something to not only catch on with the crowd, but also like, how do you get it through to Vince and while all this other stuff is going on? So I hope that convoluted answers something for you. Ooh.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is I do appreciate learning that. It's interesting how in the dark you were. I thought you would be more up on things, but it seems like in WWE everyone's on a need to know basis. They don't want things leaking out. So
yeah, and
spread the info too far.
Well, also, there's other times you'd like look at tapes and it was more like, oh, what do you think of this guy, or how about this? But for the most part, it was like you just didn't have time to do that. And I'm sure even like there was guys circling around waiting to get Vince's attention as agents. So guys would like work something through an agent or some kind of developmental thing. And I don't know, whatever, like side meetings that JR would do a lot of that stuff. Like, hey, I'm behind this guy. And like Vince would look at it and I'm sure JR would be like frustrated because like, oh, Vince, JR's really pushing this guy. Vince keeps his thoughts close to his chest and he might not like this guy because JR liked him so much or whatever. Or, you know what I mean? All these kind of machinations. So it's kind of like, it's a need to know basis, but also like there's not enough time to look at all this. And like, also like, so many people are in it for themselves to get pushed forward. Like, what does it help? And I've on the other side, I've seen guys where I've like talked to them who are like in development who are like, oh, their attitude is fucking wrong. And that ain't going to work. And I wouldn't really say stuff, but you just kind of knew it. I remember, and I don't want to like say specifics, but someone being like already like they got a chip on their shoulder because their gimmick was stolen, but it really wasn't. And it wasn't about that. And you just kind of knew like,
they just feel wrong.
Yeah. They feel wronged and already they're not what they think they are. And they got a chip and you just kind of know. Because sometimes you'd like talk to guys, oh, let's talk to this guy. Think about like, what's possible for him. And so, you would be involved in a lot of those processes here and there. And it'd be like, whoa, then it'd be like, oh, how do I, sometimes you got to express your opinion. You're like, I don't know. So it'd be like, but usually be talking to like Lanza or something, Lanza, like, what do you think of this guy? Or, or Pat would just say, I'm not feeling him or, so there's like a negative side, but because that's part of your job too, to be like, for instance, for Kurt Angle's like, wow, he's amazing. But, I don't know, that dark match, like fans didn't like react. What's the thing? Then the video was like, holy, that works so heavily for me, et cetera, et cetera. So wasn't quite in the dark. So
okay. Fair enough.
Yes. Is that a clean finish? It's kind of a schmaz finish,
It's a bit of a schmaz finish, but we got there. We made it to the end, folks. And you're here with us. Thank you, as always, for hanging out with us. And we're on the road to King of the Ring. Of course, hit us up on social media, TFT Attitude Era at gmail.com with any questions, comments, criticisms, complaints. You could always comment on our YouTube page, on our Instagram, our TikTok, our Twitter, TFT Attitude Era on all social media. let us know your questions and comments. We'll be back next week. Keeping the show going on the road to King of the Ring 2000.
Keeping the show going.
Keeping. And we hope you join us on Tales from the Attitude Era.